Good morning, afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I am sharing my video, but I'm not sure why it's not showing. So this is the presentation. It's a combined presentation of the work in Zambia and in South Africa. And I will be presenting the first half, after which I will hand over to my colleague Charlie in Zambia. Next slide. So as mentioned, this is the practical considerations for conducting a TB prevalence survey using the OneStopTB platform in Zambia and South Africa. I am a researcher based at Health Systems Trust in Cape Town, South Africa, and I was the TB prevalence survey lead for the South African team, and the majority of our work is TB and HIV related. Next slide. So the aim of the study, the TREATS project, was to measure the prevalence of bacteriologically confirmed pulmonary TB in a random sample across all 21 study communities. And then the purpose of this presentation is to describe the use and experience of using the OneStopTB platform in these 21 communities, 12 of which is based in Zambia and 9 in South Africa. Next slide. So this map is just to give you an indication of the distribution of the 21 communities across Zambia and South Africa, and also where the two countries are located. So in Zambia, you will notice the map on the left. The sites were distributed quite across Zambia, while in South Africa, our sites were centered in the Western Cape province around Cape Town. Next slide. So the setting is the 21, they are urban and peri-urban communities with a high HIV prevalence. These are just some pictures of the types of communities in which the work was conducted, with the South African communities on the left and the Zambian communities on the right. Next slide. Next slide. Elizabeth. Next slide. Right. So previous slide, I think you skipped one. Another back one. All right. So apologies, I'm not sure the system was a bit lag on my side. So in terms of the operational setup, we had a mobile field site, which was then set up in each community. And with the OneStopTB platform truck that formed the basis or the center of each site, the trucks are divided into two sections. One is an X-ray compartment with a digital X-ray, and then the second component is a laboratory with two gene expert instruments for detecting TB and resistance. And then each week the truck would move to a different location within the community. And then due to regulatory differences between South Africa and Zambia, the OneStopTB truck platform had to differ in size for the two countries. Next slide. So the pictures on indicate just the size differences. On the left, we have the South African truck, and then on the right, we have the Zambian, which was just slightly smaller, and this just had some implications in terms of logistics and where the truck could move in South Africa. Next slide. So these are just some pictures showing you the X-ray compartment. where the radiographer would then take the images and then have her computer, and it would then link all the images up into the cloud for analysis and review by the medical panels and the clinicians on site. Next slide. And then this is just some pictures of the laboratory compartment with one of our previous lab techs, where we had the gene expert machines and the lab can run the sputum samples on site. Next slide. So in terms of our operational setup, so these pictures are just to give you an indication where the trucks, as I said, they form the basis of the site, and then various stations were set up around the site in order to support data collection and medical sample collection. So this would include questionnaires, screening questions, and then also the HIV stations, HCT, sputum collection, etc. And all of this form the base around our central mobile site. Next slide. So the OneStopTB truck X-ray, and the digital X-ray compartment had a digital X-ray that was used to capture the images and was connected to the internet for real-time uploading of the images. And then the X-ray images had a cut score auto-calculated, normally within 1 to 2 minutes. That was then interpreted from low to high, between 0 to 100, with higher scores indicating chest abnormalities. Next slide. Here I'm going to stop and I'm going to hand over to Charlie.
Thank you, Michael. Good afternoon, everyone. So just to carry on with our experiences using the OneStopTB truck. So the truck in itself, because of its size and color, it caught the attention of all the community members, and as such, it played an important role in community mobilization and also sensitizing the community, as it was very visible to everyone. So we also had chest x-rays that the chest x-rays that were taken for our participants were free, and because they were free, this motivated a majority of community members to take part in the study. So as you can see in the pictures below, in Zambia, we had the orange t-shirt for our participants, and in South Africa, they had the white t-shirts for their participants, as opposed to the traditional gowns that are commonly used. Next slide, please. So with these OneStopTB trucks, the time that was taken for an X-ray image to generate a score was between 5 and 10 minutes. And so it was a plus because participants didn't need to take long. Then also the availability of chest X-ray images on the cloud. This enabled our clinicians to be able to review the images on site and also remotely, and also helped in making decisions regarding referral. The digital X-rays were with an excellent image quality. Also, we were able to print X-ray images where needed, though not for every participant, but when there was a need for us to print images, we were able to do it on site, and were able to refer the participant to the local health facility with an X-ray. Also, an advantage was that using the card, we were able to pick non-tuberculous abnormalities. Gene expert results also were ready within 24 hours and also available to the clinician on site when needed. And because the truck had its own lab, there was no need of transporting samples to other sites. Next slide, please. So we also faced some challenges using the OneStopTB trucks. So sometimes you could have breakdown of X-ray machine. And once this happened, this resulted in all participants becoming sputum eligible. And this meant that it was an increase on the lab. Then the lab could only be able to process an average of 40 sputum samples per day. So if participants were sputum eligible, meant that we would see more than the required number. And also this meant creating a backlog, and then participants could not be reviewed on their next day visit. So when such a thing happened, by the end of the week, participants would need to come to the mobile field site the following week or follow us in another sample area because of the backlog. So we're not able to see everybody that very day. So this meant that other people would follow us in the next sites. And this had an impact on day 2 attendance, as some people were not able to come to other sites. Then another major challenge we had was connectivity issues. So sometimes we had problems with the CAD score not being generated or pulled through the DMS. And once we had such challenges, this meant that everybody became sputum eligible. Next slide, please. So when using the OneStopTB trucks, there were also logistics that we needed to put into consideration. So the advantage of the trucks was that they could reach most sections of the communities, but then it became a challenge when the area we needed to go to was sandy or muddy, or maybe because of rain season. So with the OneStopTB trucks in summer, the X-ray and the lab equipment were able to function using the solar power system, but the air conditioning could not use the solar system. While in winter, the solar system was not able to recharge sufficiently because, of course, there's no sun. So the truck needed external supply at all times. So this now was like an extra cost, because whichever community we went to, we had to pay for power supply, and then sometimes there could be intermittent power supply. But nonetheless, the mobile vans had generators that we could use in such cases when there's no power supply. So in terms of safety and security, we ensured that there was enough security to watch over the trucks. Like for South Africa, they had to set up every day and then take down every evening. So this meant that it was an impact, especially on the type of the equipment that was used. But arrangements were made for where we could park our trucks overnight, mainly with the local clinics or maybe district administrator's office or any police station, so the trucks could be safe and every other equipment in the truck. Next slide, please. So as mentioned in the previous slide, so this is just a picture showing what it looked like during the rain season. And as such, it was a challenge for us in terms of where to park the mobile truck. And this is the end of the presentation.